Hey, it's Chris with Kajun in a Kayak. That's Kajun with a K, Kayak with a K. I've started this channel because I'm a new saltwater fishing type person. And I've been freshwater fishing all my life. But my brother, shout out to John, has encouraged me for years to get into saltwater fishing. And my goodness, was he right. I have fallen in love with it. It is, to me, more fun than freshwater fishing, at least for now. So, you know how men are, we jump all over. And I want to share something with you today that I think will be helpful for you. If you saltwater fish, you will need a measuring device of some sort. There are many regulations when it comes to saltwater fishing, way more than freshwater fishing. And you don't want to be caught with illegal fish in any saltwater. They are very serious about it, but you have to have a measuring device. Now, what I started out with was one of these tapes that had numbers on it on my kayak. That was a miserable fail. It may work for big boats because you're standing up and you can measure. It's not good for a kayak, at least not for me. And if you fish tournaments, it's not legal. Then I moved to the folding. This is the fish stick by Yak Gear, as you can see. It's a great board, and I believe it floats. One of the things that I didn't care for about it was how I had to color in the numbers to see them. And it's difficult to read for tournaments, especially if you get to the quarters and the halves. Great board. I just decided to go to the gold standard when it comes to fishing. And I'm going to show that to you now. The gold standard is the Ketch Board. Ketch, K-E-T-C-H, that's Ketch with a K. This is the gold standard when it comes to measuring for tournaments, anglers of the year, and any sort of fishing expeditions you take for kayaks. I know with our Mobile Bay Kayak Fishing Association, shout out to those guys, this is the gold standard. They take others, but this is the gold standard. And so many of the guys in that group have been helpful to me. That and the Fever group as well have been super helpful to me. You know, it's been a few months ago that Eric invited me to go fishing, and that's how I met these guys. I encourage you, if you're local to the Gulf South area in Alabama, Pensacola, even Mississippi, find this group, the Fever, find the Mobile Bay Kayak Fishing Association, join up and have some fun with us. Now, that being said, I looked to find the best way to mount this thing. Now, a lot of people will slide this board behind them or under their seat. I didn't really like those options. Good for people with maybe bigger kayaks, just not for me. And I saw a guy on YouTube who mounted his paddle with Mop and Broom Holder clips. Now, if you worked in a restaurant like I have, and my camera operator, Monica, has as well, you're familiar with how mops and brooms clip to the wall to get them off the floors. So I found him on YouTube, and he had used a type of clip for his paddle. And I got to thinking, these rubber ones here, which I'll post a link to on Amazon, might work for my board. Now you can see they clip up and down. They mount to the rack that's built into my Old Town Predator. Shout out Old Town. And these are removable, by the way, so if you put a lot of scarring on it, a lot of screws, you can do that. Now you could also mount this with a T-bolt from Yak Attack and slide it up and down as you needed to. I did a permanent mount onto the track itself because I'm not going to move it. But if you wanted to leave your track open, I encourage you to get the T-bolts and do that. Just put a wing nut, drill a hole, put a wing nut, and you're good to go. Now, how does it work? Well, let me show you. You set your board on top, you push down, and you have a solid connection. And listen, the wind's not going to blow that out. It is solid. It takes a little effort to get it up and down, but that's what you want. And what happens is these rubber clips keep it down. I went with rubber because saltwater is brutal on metal and any sort of, saltwater is just hard on your equipment anyway. So it takes effort to pull it up, and it takes effort to push it down. Now there's a couple of disadvantages to the Ketch Board, right? The first one is, if it's mounted right here, if you're pulling in a fish, it could be difficult. Me, I use my handy dandy float net. That'll be a video for another day. I don't have any issues. I tried it out sheep's head fishing yesterday, no issues. Now, the other disadvantage is the Ketch Board doesn't float. Now, shout out to Reno and Rod, who yesterday told me about people putting foam or cork inside here to help it float. I'm not doing that right now. What I've done is I've attached a rod lanyard to the end of it, and I just hook it inside my boat somewhere so that if it does fall, I can retrieve it no problem. You know, those of you who've lost a rod or some equipment know how difficult that is. But this is one of those from Amazon. I'll put a link in my description for that as well. I think it was 3 of them for $5 to $10, and they come with a C-clip. So I hope this will be helpful to you, because you're going to need a measuring board if you do any saltwater fishing. If you're new like me, you start out with something cheap and you keep upgrading, but my encouragement here is get the good stuff, get the gold standard to begin with, save your money on the other things. While I love this one, it has served me well, don't get me wrong, and a lot of people use it. I'm going with the gold standard, and I hope you will too. Listen, I hope you enjoy the video and the series as I help newbies and as I learn myself. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends, and we're going to be coming with more content as much as we can to help us learn together. That's Kajun with a K, Kayak with a K. It's Chris with Kajun in the Kayak. Until next time, who dat, go Saints, shout out to the Fever Group.